St. Louis showroom. I'm here with Kevin Webb from Hot Rod and Custom Garage, and today we're talking about our favorite subjects, street rods. So Kevin, when did the term street rod and when did street rods begin?
Street rods started after World War II, and as you know, there was a lot of people, the GIs, men and women, came back from the war, and they had been around the best technology available at the time. And when they came back, cars were fairly cheap. The Depression had ended, and all of a sudden there was back then it started the need for speed.
Right.
So people came back and literally were buying these cars very, very cheap. Some cars were sold for $50.
Wow.
And they would strip them down, and the term hot rodding started. And as it progressed, in 1948, there was a magazine started by
Scott Peterson.
Robert Peterson.
Robert Peterson.
That's okay. Yeah, Robert Peterson created Hot Rod Magazine. And Hot Rod Magazine was, and still is, considered the Bible of the industry. It's one of the things that real gearheads are totally committed to. We all read that magazine cover to cover. But Robert Peterson started the production of the magazine in 1948. He was a photographer. And what he did was he exposed the United States to hot rodding and basically showed that the cars, cars were stripped down, they were raced. You get two cars, what are they going to do? They're always going to race, right?
Right.
So that really started out the term hot rodding. The term street rodding came from vehicles that were adapted for the street, regular street cars. They were basically hot rodded. Everybody back then wanted the cars to go faster.
Right.
And even before 1955, we didn't really have a great V8 engine. We had the Ford Flathead. People started putting bigger engines in small, light cars to make them go faster. So what year does street rods stop at?
They stopped, I believe.
What's the cutoff year?
They can only be to 1948.
48 is considered a street rod. Now, everything else after that is considered hot rods, customs, pro streets, things like that. But what the most group of people consider street rods being pre-teens, so 1948. This is a perfect example of a street rod. This is a 1929 Ford Model A. This is a sedan. It's a beautiful car, but this car didn't come with a V8 engine, right?
Right.
What else did it not come with?
Well, it did not come with the AC.
Right.
Definitely didn't come with these very nice seats it's got, or the steering wheel. Right. And I would say it most likely didn't come with the windshield wipers either.
Well, actually, the wipers it might have had, but it didn't have the V8. Like you said, didn't have air conditioning, didn't have disc brakes. This is a perfect example of a car that's been modernized with classic styling. And you're literally, when you're going down the road, what are you driving?
You're driving a work of art that will turn everybody's head.
It will. It will. And I tell people all the time that this is probably the best value in buying a classic car is street rods.
Really?
Simply because there's an awful lot of people. What generation of people built these cars?
The greatest generation.
The greatest generation of people came from World War II.
Right.
And they love these cars. They designed them. They built them. Many using modern components. They still build these cars. There are builders all across the country that still build street rods. They're very, very popular cars. But unfortunately, the greatest generation we're kind of losing some of them.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate, but they had great cars. And there's a lot of these cars available. So when you're looking at a car, especially your first classic car, consider a street rod. Now, one of the other things is you're having a car that you put a V8 engine in it, you put disc brakes, you want the car to be safe, right?
Correct.
Well, how do we know it's safe?
Well, so from what I was reading, you can actually look for a little sticker in the corner of the car to see if it has the inspection on it.
That's right. This is the National Street Rod Association and Safety Inspection sticker. Now, this one's from 2000, so it needs to be updated, but the National Street Rod Association is a wonderful group of people. I'm a member of it. I also do inspections at car shows and things like that and events. And what we're doing is we're looking the car over. It's 23 different points that we look at the brakes, we look at the steering, we look at the suspension. We're looking at basically to make sure that the car is safe for the person to drive. And it's not a pass or fail thing. It's a matter of if we see something that needs to be addressed, we tell them and they can address it. They can, maybe it's something that they need wipers or they need a working brake light. And a lot of people don't really, they buy these cars, they drive them, they don't really understand them sometimes.
Yeah.
And having another person that works on these cars all the time is a good idea. I will tell you, having done street rods for most of my life and been around these cars, you never will meet a greater group of people. I mean, it's amazing when you go to these street rod shows at the NSRA or even Good Guys, how many cool people, and we've talked about this before, the coolest
Yes,
group
we
of people
have.
are what?
They're car people.
They really are. They really are car people. So looking at a street rod and considering one of these cars is one of the best investments that you can make. It's a great entry level car into classic cars. It gives you air conditioning, it gives you disc brakes, and they're a good value. And you're buying a piece of history that, and the other side of it is parts. You know, you might think, oh my God, this car, this 29 is almost 100 years old. Well, you know, I can buy a brand new fender for it. I can buy new sheet metal. I can buy, matter of fact, on some of these cars, I can buy a brand new body in steel. So there's a huge amount of support in the industry for street rods.
Well, and that's always helpful because when you are new to this industry and you aren't sure about all the costs that come with buying a classic car, because it's not like just taking it to your normal dealer and just looking online for parts. I know we get tons of calls all the time. Do you have this part? Do you have that part? So it is good to know that there's a community and you can go find the parts. And also, I mean, it just has a really great history to it. I mean, this started actually around before World War I, but it got a bad name because of all the hot rodding. And so it was in World War II where we started seeing the associations where people can then drive safer. And you know what? These are the cars that made it through the oil crisis when the pony cars didn't. So, I mean, they are really amazing pieces of art, amazing pieces of history.
Well, you mentioned the NHRA, National Hot Rod Association. That's where drag racing started, was these cars. Starting out on airport landing strips, you know, old airport landing strips where they used to drag racing and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, these cars have a huge amount of history. And they're very much loved throughout the world. If you go to countries like anywhere in Europe, Japan, love street rods. They absolutely love our cars. They love all culture. And the other side of it is when you drive these cars, and you've driven in a lot of classic cars, you have a unique experience in those cars that you never have driving your regular car, your daily car.
That's correct.
That windshield has a certain curve to it. And when you're driving a street rod, it's amazing how many people do what? Wave, and turn, look, stop. And when you park the car, what do you become?
You become your own celebrity with the car.
Yep, you become a photo opportunity because anytime you pull a classic car in front of a restaurant or a gas station or something, all of a sudden you'll see people walking over with their cell phone wanting to take a picture with it. So these are really cool cars, great cars for a family starting out. They've got plenty of room in them. They're very safe. So if you're considering the purchase of a classic car, look at street rods. I think you'll be very, very impressed with them. I do encourage inspections. I do encourage NSRA inspections especially. And if you have any questions, ask somebody. Ask a street rodder. Ask somebody, you know, ask yourself. You know, or give me a call. We'll be more than happy to help you pick out the right car.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. We're with Kevin from Hot Rod and Custom Garage, who is an amazing source of information, has been our technician here at Gateway Classic Cars for over 20 years. So you'll definitely be seeing him more on future Live with Eliza's and maybe some other shows that we have in the works for 2023. At Gateway Classic Cars, your dreams are driven. See you next time.